guys too.
Sure.
Tyrese, first of all, can we have a little health update after what we heard about maybe you were dealing with in the Olympics?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, ready for the season.
Anything specific that was bothering you at that time?
Yeah, a little nicks and bruises, but I'm good now, so that's all that matters.
What specifically is motivating you this year? I know you talk about you can take motivation from anything, but you got the contract, you got the All-NBA, you had the gold. What specifically is motivating you heading into this year?
Yeah, I think that the response and the view on us as a group after having success last year and that kind of being looked at as a little bit of like a fluke in some people's minds is, I think, a big motivation and irritation. So I think for us as a group, I think we have a ton of guys who have chips on their shoulders for different reasons. Everybody's been doubted one way or another. I mean, our whole starting five, we have me as second round pick, guy who got traded from his first team, guy who played his first couple of years in the NBA got traded, and a guy who's been in trade rumors his whole career, starting five alone, So I think that everybody has different motivations, and I think that this just adds, chips on our shoulders to everybody as a group. And I think that's the exciting part, because I think that's why there was so much success and hunger last year, and that doesn't change going into this year, because we know what we're capable of. We've always known what we're capable of, and we don't need to talk about it. We'll just be about it this year.
Where are you seeing some of that stuff? I mean, I think even last year when we did your exit interview, you're like, they'll probably think we're not going to get back. What have you read? What have you seen? What have you heard from people? And where, I guess, that tells you that there is that expectation that this is, last year was a fluke. Where is it kind of manifested? Where have you actually seen it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm chronically online as well. So, I mean, I'm sure if I had my phone on me right now, I could show you my bookmarks. But I think I just kind of gained those motivations from everywhere. I also was on the Olympic team, and there was a lot of talk there as well. But I think that it just kind of comes from many different places. But I mean, just type Pacers into Google, and I'm sure you'll be able to find it. So it's everywhere.
Ty, the Olympic experience, what did you take out of it? I know you spent a lot of time with Steph Curry. In what ways do you think you'll benefit from that?
Yeah, it's a loaded question. I think for me, the Olympics was a great experience, but I think more than anything, it was kind of like an ego check as well. Kind of having to, put that out the door and just, care about team success. Me being young and having so much success early in my career, when you get on a team like that, you're just thinking it's just going to continue, and you get to play alongside your heroes and do that. And that wasn't necessarily the case. I didn't play a ton, as you know, but so it was a little bit of an ego hit for me. But I truthfully, all that mattered was winning. We had that conversation as a group before, and I think my biggest thing, kind of thinking about it, because I can sit here and tell you, well, I didn't care, but you know me and you know that that's not true. But I think like everybody kind of has to pay their dues, and we've had a lot of superstars in our league who have had to pay their dues when they put on a USA uniform, and that's just a part of it. So I enjoyed the hell out of my summer. I had so much fun. Like being a part of those games was, being able to be there for those games was. A magical thing to sit and watch those, and something that I'll remember forever. And I think that was a lot of fun for me. But I think that out of anything, it just gave me a newfound appreciation to the game of basketball. I think I have never in my life had to sit on the bench really for anything. I came into the NBA, a lottery pick. I played a ton, even though I came off the bench. I played a ton, and for my second year. I've started and had a ton of success, and obviously before the NBA, I've had a ton of success in my career and rarely even got on the bench during the game, let alone sit on the bench for the whole game, So it was definitely an ego check for me, but I think it's all part of it, and it's a new experience for me, but I kind of just used what I could to my advantage. You talked about my relationship with Steph. It's funny because me and Steph, before the Olympics, had never spoken before. Funny story. We have never really said 2 words to each other except for good game. So to kind of go and have dinner with him and just sit down and pick his brain, because we have a lot of similarities as far as our defensive limitations, I think you could say. So I think I think at the same time, he's had so much success while having, similar defensive limitations as me. And so just picking his brain on things like that was important for me. So I'm really thankful for the experience I had, not just with him, but the group as a whole. So I'm just really thankful for it.
Since I still have the mic, speaking of defense, in what ways do you think you can be a better defensive player this year? And in what ways will you be a better defensive player?
Yeah, I think defensive IQ, I think that people look at me as such a high IQ player, but when I watch film sometimes, I'm pretty frustrated by like what I'm thinking defensively. It's different if you're in the right place and the guy makes a shot, or you're in the right place and it's the NBA. Everybody's elite. Like, it's different if you're trying and the guy gets by you and scores. Like, that's one thing. But sometimes I think when I go back and watch film, like, I'm not in the right places a lot of times. So I think that's just a big focus for us as a group. Like, as a whole, like, the last couple of years we've been really young, and we're still young. But the teams that are winning aren't old. Like, Boston's not old. Jason's 2 years older than me. So they're not going anywhere. So I think as a group, the last 2 years we've been so stuck on A and B, where now it's time you can talk about those things, but how do we get to C and D faster? How do we, progress and think the game at a faster level? And I think that applies to everybody, but and me especially. So I think as for how high my IQ is offensively, it's just carrying that on defensively and just as a whole as a basketball player.
Ty, as another year goes by in the league, what do you personally hope to give to this team here this year?
Just sustained success. I think we have to realize is the gap from the 2 seed to the 8 seed, I think, was 4 games last year. 3 games, yeah. So like, it's really nothing, and so I think for 82 games, you just have to be locked in and figure it out and hold guys accountable the right way. Because it's so easy when you have bad games. I'm sure I would bet any money. I mean, I'm not allowed to bet, but I would probably guarantee that you'll hear this year, after a bad loss, we gotta flush that one. And you hear that from every NBA team when a bad loss occurs. And when you have a good game, it's take learn what we can, move on. But for 82 games, it's just there's not the margin of error is not very large, and there's so many good teams in our conference battling where everybody's chasing Boston, of course, but the gap from Milwaukee, New York, Orlando, us, Cleveland, sure I missed a couple teams in there. It's not large by any means, So it's all about how can you when you're in a slump, how can you get over it quickly and move on to the next thing. But for me, I think it's just about holding guys accountable and holding myself accountable to not let slumps, be sustained. And when things are going well, how can we keep things going well? So it's all important, but that's where I have to grow as a leader, is moving on, getting on to the next thing. And I think we have to grow as a group.
Going back to your Olympic experience, even though you accepted your role, did it sting? Is it a source of motivation for this season? And do you feel like you have something to prove to some people?
Did it sting? Yeah. I mean, it sucked. Of course, it sucked that I didn't play, but we won. So it didn't suck that much because we won. And I have a gold medal, and regardless, I'll probably tell my kids I played the whole game, So that really doesn't, I mean, it did suck because I'm a competitor and I want to compete. But I think just being on that team, I think, has raised my level of attention to detail, my status, all those different things has been good for me. And is it a source of motivation? Of course, I take everything and I use that as a source of motivation. So look forward to a good year.
I guess the kind of positive spin on that is very few players get ego checked like that, especially players at your level. How do you think that makes you a better leader to be able to bring it into your locker room here?
Yeah, I think that just when you're at the level that I am and having the success that I've had, it's hard when guys aren't playing to really, when you're trying to give positive words to those guys, it can be hard to receive that, I think, for some people. And a guy like Jarris Walker, who didn't play a ton last year, right? I don't know how exactly I can relate to what he's going through. I can't, you know, because even in the USA level, that's completely different. So I can't really relate, but what I can do is offer words of encouragement and offer an ear to listen to how he's feeling, because I mean, I'm sure that sucks. We're all competitors, and I know Jairus is a great player, and I'm not just mean to single him out, but we have a lot of guys like that from him on who might not be playing as much as they want to, but that's all part of it. And I think that we have other guys who can relate, like TJ McConnell and other dudes in our group who can probably relate to him better. But I think just lending that ear and lending just, you know, I think like encouraging words, I think is important as well. So I think me having not played a ton, I can kind of, I don't want to say relate, because that's probably not the right way to say it, but I kind of got to feel that a little bit, you know, in a very different scale, but I got to feel that a little bit. So just trying to have those conversations and offer encouraging words as much as I can.
One more if needed.
Ty, now that you've had a chance to play part of the season with Pascal, he gets you guys all together, obviously, in the last couple of weeks down in Florida. How have you changed as a player just from learning from him?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's great about our group is this is something that we've done for the past couple of years now, is in the summer get together and work out all as a team and without coaches and just play and see where everybody's at. See guys, like it was a little different this year because last year we didn't go to the playoffs, so it was like I actually missed these guys. Whereas now I'm kind of like, I feel like I just saw you last month. But no, it's good to be around these guys. But I think Pascal allowing us to go to his home and do this, and allowing us all to be together in Orlando, it was a lot of fun for guys, and just guys to compete was all very good for us. And you've just seen him grow so much as a leader. I've seen him grow a ton as a vocal guy, because from what I've known about Pascal previously, he doesn't really talk a ton. But last year he was kind of forced into having to do that because we got to the playoffs and I didn't have anybody else on this team to lean on in terms of what I should be expecting and how I'm adjusting different coverages and all that stuff. And Pascal's won a championship, so he's a guy that I could lean on and have conversations with. So he was kind of thrust into that role. And I think that he's really appreciating that, because when he got to Toronto, being in Toronto, being a younger guy, all those guys were kind of he just kind of shut up and, you know, just did everything he could to get to the level of player he is now. So I think to see him grow as a leader and a player has been really fun, and I look forward to being alongside him and these guys and going into this year, because continuity is important. Continuity has led to success for you know, a lot of these teams who have won championships previously. So I think that that's going to be important for our success moving forward.
Thanks, Ty.
Thank you.